Death Becomes Her is a dark comedy released in 1992, directed by Robert Zemeckis. The film stars Meryl Streep as Madeline Ashton, Goldie Hawn as Helen Sharp, and Bruce Willis as Dr. Ernest Menville. The plot revolves around the themes of vanity, immortality, and rivalry. Madeline and Helen, once friends, became bitter enemies over their mutual love for Ernest. Their obsession with beauty and eternal youth leads them to a mysterious potion that grants immortality, but with unforeseen consequences. The potion's effects turn their lives into a macabre and comedic struggle to maintain their appearances as their bodies deteriorate in bizarre ways. The film is notable for its groundbreaking use of special effects, which won an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. It humorously critiques society's obsession with youth and beauty, using satire to explore the lengths people will go to avoid aging. Death Becomes Her was a solid box office success, grossing $149 million worldwide against a $55 million budget. It opened at number 1 in the US with $12.1 million and went on to earn $58.4 million domestically, alongside $90.6 million internationally, and it has gained a cult following for its sharp wit, memorable performances, and visual innovation. It has also become a Broadway musical comedy that concluded its New York run on June 28, 2026, after an acclaimed 20-month residency at the Lunt-Fontanne Theater. The production has now embarked on a North American tour. Death Becomes Her legacy lies in its influence on both pop culture and the film industry's approach to special effects. The film continues to be appreciated for its clever script and exploration of timeless themes, resonating with audiences who enjoy a blend of comedy and the supernatural. Welcome to Popped. I'm Daniel, the co-host and founder of the show, and joining me is my co-host, Eric, brewer of potions that help reverse aging effects. How you doing, Eric?
Hey, how you doing? It's good to be here. This is my 437th birthday. You can hardly tell.
You don't look a day over 700.
Woohoo!
Uh,
Wait.
Anyway, joining us is a guy who's been on this show before. Good friend of mine that I met on an old posting board called Wishville. No longer exists. It was for the band The Chameleons. But somehow we managed to stay friends long after that thing died. And he's been on the show before. He was on the Idiocracy and the Game episodes. Is that right, Tony?
That is correct.
Welcome
Nice.
back.
Hey, how's everyone going?
We're going.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right on. So it's always fun to have you on. And the reason we had you on is because you recommended that we do an episode on Death Becomes Her. And I thought, why not have the guy who recommended it jump on, especially since you've been here before, right?
That's true. If I did recommend it, it was probably I was drunk dialing you.
It was on a YouTube post, so maybe you were watching
Yeah, so no, I have
watching drunk.
yeah, if I did do it, I was doing it sarcastically because I have some interesting comments about this movie, but I have developed a sort of Stockholm syndrome relationship with this movie that I've kind of liked it, ended up liking it more than I expected after I gave it a couple of watches.
Oh, right on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. Well, get moving on here. We've got some mail that I'd like to talk about. So, popped mail. Like I said, we have mail, and our first one is from John G. Doofus Attack at Yahoo. He sent us a link to an old Hollywood Reporter episode that featured young directors, and in particular one Savage Steve Holland, our buddy who was on here for Better Off Dead. And it was really cool to watch this old, like 80s interview talking about these young directors and what Savage Steve wanted to do with his career. So I'm not going to put that in here, copyright issues, this, that, or the other, but I will link it in our comments. So if you want to watch it, you can check it out. Thanks, John G. Appreciate that. I enjoyed that. And our next email is from Drake, morbus@gmail.com. Your recent Better Off Dead, The Thing, Gattaca, and 13th Warrior episodes are your best in my opinion. Whatever happened to Tanya? She was fun and better eye candy than you guys. Ha ha. I'm also wondering why you guys removed the trivia segment from the show. I'm too lazy to go look that stuff up. Can you please put some trivia back into your set? Regards, Drake. So, yes, Drake. Yeah, it was one of those things that I painstakingly cut because our videos were like getting longer and longer. And honestly, when you look at the analytics for YouTube, nobody wants to sit through a 2-hour episode. Maybe we had 1 or 2 people sitting there, and that was probably me just rechecking that all the editing was correct. So anyway, we're going to put some trivia in tonight just for you. There you go, Drake. Thank you. Thanks for sending us emails.
Trivia we can do looking prettier. This is what you get.
Yeah. If you want washed out, old and gray, you got it. Because, I got to get a new camera. It's got to be the camera, right?
Yeah, that's the camera.
Anyway, as always, our email is poppedreview@gmail.com or Eric_poppedkernel@proton.me. While you're contemplating what you're going to write to us in your little emails, take a moment, click like, subscribe, share. That's how we get word of mouth out there and how we get seen. That's how we drive, people to the channel to enjoy what we're doing here. Isn't this fun? Crickets. Okay. Now that we're, Death Becomes Her. But there's a lot going on in this film. And I do like that the themes are all ugly themes, right? You got narcissism and ego and just it's a lot of fun. I don't know. And for me, this is like one of Robert Zemeckis' best films. And I mean, he's got a lot of great films, Back to the Future and all sorts of things. But it sort of melds the best of his sort of abilities, right? He uses the film to create humor, but also the visual effects, which he's really well known for. So I find it like a good combination of like comedy, innovative technology, and it really produced some memorable results. I guess ILM was involved in this, and this was like the first use of CGI skin. So that's kind of cool. Um, did you guys, what sort of stuck out to you when you think back on this? Because now we're talking about this film, and when you think back, what is like the one thing that really pops out to you about it? And since you're our guest, Tony, we'll go to you first, and then we'll go to Eric.
What pops out, there was one thing I strongly noticed because the very first time I watched Death Becomes Her was probably back in the Netflix days, came into the Netflix. And I may have even seen this at a theater still. And I walked out thinking that these are such talented actors and actresses. Why would they want to waste their time doing this? I really hated it, actually. And after rewatching it, I had no idea at the time Robert Zemeckis was the director, and I'm a big fan of Robert Zemeckis. Obviously, Back to the Future is one we all love. That's in my top 100 all-time favorite films. Forrest Gump is a great movie. Bridge to Terror, but yeah, he has quite a few good movies that I actually like a lot. So, but what stuck out in this movie initially, I had to really, when I rewatched the movie, I had to see what was it that got me so offended by it. And I realized that what he did, first of all, I had to step back and say, this is a black comedy. So you got to give it it's a little bit campy and a little bit of black comedy. You have to go along with those two things to appreciate the movie. And that, when I took that mindset, suddenly the movie popped to me, so to speak. And what I noticed is that every single character in this movie, even the smaller roles, even the bodyguards, they were all people at their very worst, most sarcastic, most materialistic personalities for the most part, or there was something about them that was not likable at all. And if you suddenly step back and say that, then it becomes more interesting to watch because then you try to see who am I rooting for here, and that was one of the things I tried to do in this movie. So, and that will segue to later things that we talk about.
That's a good point, trying to figure out who you're rooting for, because truly, like, everybody is kind of awful in this film,
Yeah.
right? Everybody's kind of awful. And I kind of like that. I like the fact that all the characters are flawed in some way, shape, or form. I mean, you part of you wants to root for Ernest, right? Because he's the poor sap that goes, is sort of in this loveless marriage, but he also is the guy who made that choice, right? And then he's also the guy who murdered his wife, right? Something they gloss over later, but it, it, everybody is deplorable.
Yes.
So Eric,
That's what you
uh,
love about him when you get used to the movie.
it's true. Eric, what is it that sticks out to you? Something that really hit you when you think about this film?
Well, first and foremost, it's the special effects and makeup. It's the it's the it's almost the body horror of the film to a degree. Um, the way the way they rendered the effects of that such it it wasn't even realistic looking, but at the same time it wasn't not realistic looking. The way Meryl Streep like twists her head around and the 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 movement that she was doing, like even when she was like walking backwards and it was just it was weirdly disturbing. But at the same time, you couldn't look away. The visuals on both Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn were the 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 swings from one extreme to the other were amazing. I mean, Goldie
Hmm.
Hawn going from looking about average to looking like a complete and utter train wreck,
Right.
and then coming back in the second or act or third act, just oh my, like jaw dropping in her final, quote unquote final form.
Yeah.
And you know the way, I mean the yeah, I mean just yeah, the color contact lenses they put in her that just really were stunning and just like wow. Could she, like, I don't know, it's just visually it's an amazing film. It really is. Just outside of, it's almost Tim Burton-esque how visually stunning it is.
Yeah, I would agree. And that's the thing that stuck out to me was that this film had really great like cinematic storytelling. And a lot of it was done through the camera, right? So, one of my favorite scenes is it's not what you'd think. It's not like one of these big elaborate scenes. It's actually subtle. And this kind of sticks out to me where, because, I'm kind of a film geek and I went to film school. So I studied, you know, little things you do visually to cue viewers in without actually saying it. And one of those moments is Helen's just casually speaking on the phone, right? And they pan back, the camera tracks backwards and reveals the room is full of artwork showing that she still despises, Madeline.
Mhm.
And it it just juices up the scene and you, it reveals things despite what she's doing in front of the camera, right? She's being all casual and cheery and whatnot, but she's obviously psychotic. And to me, that type of storytelling is really like what I like. That's the kind of meat I just like to just bite into when I watch a film. So stuff like that was wonderful. I found the pacing of the film was really good too. You're never truly bored watching it. There's always something going on. It literally gets to the castle, right? Even though it's not a literal castle, but I mean, it gets there. Um, what else kind of popped out to you guys in this film? I noticed we're throwing the word popped out a lot, and it's totally unintentional, but
So it's funny you mentioned that little detail about how you film around things and you get to the character and it tells the story. And that's why I saw a good connection to Back to the Future. There's one scene where Bruce Willis's character is, I guess he's come to the realization that she's somehow a miracle. And he's like, well, I can use my morgue spray paint techniques to make her look pretty again. And so he's almost like a mad scientist, but the way it before it shows that part, it starts off with a close up of all the spray paints and books that he's reading, and it just really edges up to him, like you said, to him. And you see this look on him, almost like it's a young Frankenstein moment, where he's recreating the monster, so to speak. And I kind of that reminded me a lot of a scene in Back to the Future in the very beginning of the movie, where he does a zoom in at the beginning of the movie at the amplifier, and he's turning up the volume, and you follow the chord to the guitar. He does a lot of he sort of snakes into the character before he introduces to your character, which I appreciated that actually.
Right. Very cool. Yeah. That's stuff like that really makes the difference when you think about a good director and just a marginal director, right? Some directors will throw 5,000 images on the screen to tell you the story, whereas you can do something as simple as, like you said, following the cable, right? Or panning back and revealing something else. And you don't need 5,000 edits to show that. So it's just good storytelling. Eric, anything else stick out to you?
Uh, Goodness. Just going from, just going from the effects and makeup to to the various, just, it's a weird, campy movie to some degree. I've heard several, I've read on several sites how this film has a weird amount of traction in the LGBT community. I'm not quite sure I understand that, but I'm good with it, especially this month. You know, but it's kind of I love seeing watching the ballroom scene at the end where all the quote unquote celebrities are scattered throughout the crowd trying to pick them all out of like who you think you're spotting in that crowd. And you know
Yep.
it's a fun little bit that every time I rewatch it, I think I spot somebody else, or you know it's a lot of fun, this film. It
I
really is.
wonder if, like you mentioned, the LGBT community being interested in this film, I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that you've got two divas, you know, fighting over each other, and it really does showcase the beauty and the aspect of wearing the wonderful outfits and everything. That might have a little bit to do with it.
No, there it could
Well,
very
that's
well
one
be.
question I was going to ask. I was, for the life of me, I saw in the cast credits someone who imitated Jim Morrison. I could not find him. I watched it 4 or 5 times to see, and I could not find Jim Morrison.
He's in
It's
there for sure.
It's
It's in the
it's
pool scene, right?
mm,
yeah, that's
It's when is, is it Bruce crashes through the glass and into the
oh,
pool.
oh,
Reminded me of the game, by the way,
that's
mm.
it.
right?
I totally thought the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah, the last thing that you were on. So it's
that
interesting
went through
that
my
there's a
mind.
parallel.
Totally went through my mind as well.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, where were we?
Things that stood out, and I guess he got into the party of the famous people and the camp
is
aspect.
is in an interesting place we could start, discussing some of the trivia points that we found about this movie.
Ah, yeah,
Um,
I probably should say, trivia. So we're doing this for Drake, who wrote in. This is what happens when you write in. We actually do things and pay attention to those people who email us. So Meryl Streep accidentally hit Goldie Hawn with the shovel on her cheek during that fight and scarred her.
the play that Meryl Streep is in is Sweet Bird of Youth by Tennessee Williams, about an aging actress um, pining for lost youth.
There's the scene where Bruce Willis's character is at a party and he's talking to a woman who is admiring his work. That particular woman, he basically tells her that he used spray paint and she gets grossed out about it. That particular woman in the movie is Mary Ellen Trainor, who happens to be the wife of the director at the time. Rest in
Oh.
peace. She passed away of pancreatic cancer around 2012.
So at one point, Liesel asks Madeline how old she thinks she is. Madeline answers 38. And Liesel gives her a dirty look. Isabella Rossellini was 39 years old at the time.
The check that Madeline writes for the potion, the amount is not verbally disclosed, but if you watch the movement on her hand, you can tell it's written out in the amount of $1 million.
$1 million.
If you look at the ending of the credits, the Motion Picture of America's certification number for this is 31947. The 31946 just happened to be a movie, Blood for Dracula, which was an Andy Warhol movie, and there's an Andy Warhol in this movie.
Interesting.
That's cool. That is definitely fits into trivia. I like it.
Anal, though, I know.
Well, all right. Meryl Streep hated working on a film that relied so much on special effects and vowed not to do it again. She said, "My first, my last, my only. I think it's tedious. Whatever concentration you can apply to that kind of comedy is just shredded. You stand there like a piece of machinery. They should get machinery to do it. I loved how it turned out, but it's not fun to act to a lampstand. Pretend this is Goldie right here. No, I'm sorry, Bob. She went off the mark by 5 centimeters, and now her head won't match her neck. It was like being at a dentist."
Bruce Willis's role was originally supposed to be acted out by Kevin Kline, who had to drop out of this at the last minute.
Those 3 mourning nuns that are floating by the morgue, the actresses are Tammy Gantz, Melissa Martin, and Donna Echolt. They all happen to be casting directors.
Madeline and Ernest's gigantic mansion was a soundstage, but the exterior is a real San Marino home. Ernest's funeral home used LA's iconic gray stone mansion that has been setting for many films, television, and music video projects, including The Big Lebowski, The Bodyguard, and The Prestige.
Isabella Rossellini did not want to appear nude in this film, despite her work in her previous film. So her body double for this movie in the pool scene was the actress Catherine Bell, who many of us know from, I think it's NCIS, or is that JAG? One of those.
Huh. Okay.
Yes.
Immortality, guys. What do you think? Do you want to live forever?
Can I take people with me?
That wasn't the question.
It depends on your definition of immortality. There's a lot of ways you can be immortal. If you're historically immortal, that might be a good thing to be. But I think growing old, I think there's many examples in cinema where there's similar movies, which we will talk about.
I agree. And in fact, the whole reason I brought this up was because there are so many different versions of immortality. And one of the things we agreed upon for this recording was that our top 5 was going to be on immortality, films that represent immortality. All right, so here we are. We're going to do our top 5 films on immortality. I'm going to give you guys the correct list. Thank you, Wes Chatham. I know you're watching, man. One of these days you're going to write me and you're going to come on my show because I adore you, dude. I think you're the best. So I'm going to keep stealing that bit until you come and take it back. All right. So top 5 films on immortality. My number 5 is Death Becomes Her.
Nice.
Yeah. Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, Bruce Willis. You guys have heard of it, right?
I think
Just a little.
Okay. My number 4 is Groundhog Day, 1993. Bill Murray, Andy McDowell, Chris Elliott, Stephen Tobolowsky, who is also in Sneakers, which we're doing later this season. So thought I'd throw that one in there. I love this film. Anytime it's on, it's one of those, anytime it's on, I'm going to watch it. Number 3 is Highlander, 1986, with Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, Roxanne Hart, Clancy Brown, Beatty Edney. Fantastic film, great soundtrack, and Who Wants to Live Forever? The theme of our little our little session here. Yeah. So number 2 for me is a little off the beaten path film. It's called The Hunger, 1983, with Catherine Deneuve, David Bowie, and Susan Sarandon. Man, I love this. And you can't possibly be a former goth and not have this film on your list. I'm sorry. It just, I say former, but yeah, definitely wide enough. Pale enough, I guess is the word I'm waiting for. Anyway, it's getting to the number 1 on the correct list here. Is The Lord of the Rings, 2001, 2003. Why? Why did I put that number 1? Well, if the theme is immortal characters, is there any other story with more immortal characters in it than The Lord of the Rings? And I've got a list if we really want to go through it, but we'll start with Smeagol, right? Gollum. 589 years old at the time, Lord of the Rings story. Hobbits live typically 100 years, but the ring gives him unnaturally long life, and if he'd held on to it, he probably would have lived, well, until Sauron got the ring. But let's look at the elves. Elves are immortal, quote unquote. Legolas, not Egolas. Lego my Egolas. Legolas was 2,931 years old at the start of these films. Let's see. The Mouth of Sauron, 3,000 years. The King of Angmar, 4,209. Elrond, 6,497. Galadriel, 8,000 plus. Celeborn, 8,000 plus. I'm going to move this on to Eric, and we're going to save our guest for last because this was his idea to do this today. So, Eric, what is your top 5?
My number 5 is the 1999 film Bicentennial Man, starring Robin Williams, who is essentially an immortal android robot, living generations past his original inception date. Number 4 is Interview with the Vampire, based on the Anne Rice novel.
Yes,
if you're dealing with
fabulous film.
If you're dealing with immortals, you get into the realms of the supernatural, and so I had to throw in the vampires there.
Eric, I got to say that since we decided against doing the what do you call it, honorable mentions, and that would have been on my honorable mentions. The only reason we skipped the honorable mentions is because there would be so many. Anyway, go ahead, Eric.
Yes. My number 3 is the same as your number 3, which was Highlander from 1986. My number 2 film is a small sci-fi movie released in 2007 called The Man from Earth. If you've not seen this one, it's an amazing film. The main character basically is born thousands of years ago and just has stopped aging. It's
got to be good. It made your number 2.
40 years old. Great movie. It's a very small film. It's just a group of characters in a room having a discussion about immortality. So there's no real effects. It's all conversation and thought of the process of what it means to be immortal, and what he has done throughout his time. My number 1 film, released in 2015, is The Age of Adeline. If you've not seen this one,
Great movie.
The main character is a woman who has stopped aging and is living for generations at her current age, and it's romantic, it's beautiful. These are all movies I will stop and watch every time they're on.
Cool. It's a good list.
Thank you.
Tony.
Props on Age of Adeline. That's an excellent movie. I love the scene where George Harrison, who's now in his 70s or 80s, and sees her and he goes, "Wait a minute, that's you."
Mhm.
His old love back when he was in college or something like that. I thought that was very powerful. Number 5 on my list is the concept of immortality through repetition until you achieve moral growth, which happened to be Groundhog Day. High five, Daniel. I have the same man. Phil lives the same day forever until his soul catches up. Number 3, I had the concept of immortality as loneliness. And this is the movie Wings of Desire. We have angels that are living for, you see the beginning of time before there's even human beings. And they've been basically thousands of years have passed by. And finally, I think it's Bruno Gantz, that's his character. He finally says, I want to experience this thing that I'm detached from, and I want to be a part of it. And that's, I thought, was an interesting take on immortality. Number 3 is one of the saddest immortalities you can imagine. It's immortality as memory, mourning, and lost souls that are still flickering. And this happens to be one of my top 10 favorite movies. So 2 of them are actually my top 10 all-time favorite movies. My top 100 all-time favorite movies, 2 of them fits into the immortality schemes. And this is the movie Grave of the Fireflies. That's immortality as memory. These are Saita and Setsuko don't live forever. They're victims of war, so to speak, of famine, but they recycle, they relive their same tragedy they went through. And there's sort of a happy bittersweetness because there's beautiful, poignant moments where they're actually happy, even though they're in the middle of a war. These are children. But yet, you see the movie ending, the symbol of the fireflies is that's them reliving their memory to eternity, so to speak. So I thought it was a very gut-wrenching movie that I just can't stop watching.
Beautiful movie.
Right on.
Number 5. This movie I'm going to add is Immortality.
Wait, you mean number 1?
Oh,
did you go backwards?
I gave you 4, 3, 2. I forgot. Oh, I did. I only gave you 3, so I got out of order, I guess. So the next one, we'll call this. This is actually supposed to have been number 5. I think I actually Groundhog Day was my 4th, so I skipped 5 by mistake. This is Immortality through history, ego combined with megalomania and madness, and it's the movie Aguirre, The Wrath of God.
Oh my God!
I said that on purpose because I know you hate that character Kinski, the Mr. Chin.
The film where the guy's doing this, dude. The whole film.
Yeah. And I watched the movie yesterday. I thought about this guy. Basically, he's trying to find El Dorado, and he basically wants to go down as someone who's a Spanish conquistador in Peru that somehow made it in the 1560s, and he wanted to live forever, and he doesn't ultimately. And I give a shout out to my favorite guy, Werner Herzog. I like that director a lot.
As an art house film, I can see why people like it, but for me, it just felt like it went nowhere for way too long. So,
okay.
It's an art
And
house
last
film.
but not least, this is a movie that's actually been on the pop segment, and this is probably my all-time favorite movie. I have it ranked right now as number 4 behind Godfather and a couple of other movies.
But on this list, it's number 1, right?
Yeah, but okay. I think at my heart, it's my all-time favorite movie is Blade Runner.
Oh.
And Blade Runner is about a finite creature who are searching for the fountain of youth. These robots that are trying to get immortality to find a solution to extend their lives. And it's kind of like immortality is the desperate ache for more life.
Interesting.
Replicants don't want vanity, they don't want beauty, but they want more life.
See, this is probably my number 1 film as well. Not you said number 4, but this is probably my number 1 film of all time. But I would never look at this as immortality because they're just looking to live longer. But I guess you could throw this in on that list because if they can live longer, they can probably live forever. So I didn't even really process it that way. It's interesting that you looked at it like that.
Yeah, and just I thought it was interesting. I just sort of pondered that one, and that's just a movie I love a lot. I love talking about it. So.
Oh my God, yeah, we did a whole episode on that, and I gushed over how much I love that film. So
yeah, so
awesome.
Let me tell you, one last thing on Blade Runner. The reason I think it might still be my number 1 movie is because my criteria for my top 100 is I have 2 categories. I actually did an Excel spreadsheet on this. And I have 2 categories which are basically experts' opinions, which I weight it based on the experts. So if you get rid of the weights, I think Blade Runner would be my number 1.
Did you guys catch anything that most people may not have noticed in the film? Now, we had sort of a spoil on this earlier. Tony and I caught the same thing. And it's one of those things that happens So why don't you go ahead and we'll just split the difference on this. What was it that you caught, Tony?
Well, when I was watching the movie, and I was watching the movie the third time, just sort of take into account that this is a movie by the guy who did Back to the Future. That was at the back of my head as I watched it, and there was a scene where Goldie Hawn was saying when she got her potion, when she took her potion, and the day she said happened to be, I believe it was May 28th, 1986, and I go, that date is familiar. And Daniel, do you want to take it from there, or shall I keep going?
Was that the date she said?
It could have been June 28th.
I thought it was October 26, 1985.
That could have been. Double check. Oh, actually, I have a photo of it. I took a photo from Back to the Future because I was double checking.
There you go.
Let's double check it. Oh, you're right. October 26, 1985. Let's
Oh,
redo
thank
it.
God. I thought I was losing my mind, man.
Okay.
I was like, wait, did I totally just like...
Nope. Yeah, you're right. My notes say October. I don't know why it says September 28th. Okay.
What brought up May? I'm curious.
I have no idea. And let me see. I'm gonna double check my notes too.
It's cool, man. You're just making me happy that I wasn't losing my mind.
My notes say October 26th. That May came out of nowhere.
Awesome.
So I put in my notes that you said October 26th. I told myself to look that up later, and then I confirmed it.
Well, I just think it's great that both you and I caught that, and that makes it real easy because now we can go to Eric. Eric, did you catch that? What'd you get in this film that somebody might have missed?
If you blink, you'll miss it. But on the television in the emergency room, Kurt Russell makes an appearance on the TV. Goldie Hawn's husband, as a very brief cameo on the TV set that's playing in the emergency room.
That's so cool.
He did it as a favor for her because it was her film.
Yeah, there you go. That's a Did You Catch That, Eric? Here's a candy bar. You've earned it.
Woohoo,
good job.
That's a nice one.
And
High fives on that one, man.
Kurt Russell will be the subject of one of the films we're doing later this season as well. Escape from New York.
Ooh.
Snake Plissken.
Could have done without that.
You know, for me, this film has so many good things in it. It was really difficult to think of a could have done without that, but then it hit me, and it was something that both my girlfriend and I felt when we watched the film. So I won't go first. I'm going to let you guys go, and I'll tell you what mine is. Tony, you're the guest. Go ahead. Tell us, what could you have done without?
I did have one kind of technical issue. It seemed like the morgue was in the hospital. I could be wrong, but when I was watching the film, it's if you're those should be two separate places, and then that begged me to question: why are three floating nuns leaving a morgue?
I think in some really big hospitals they used to have morgues, so that's possibly why. But why were there floating nuns?
By the way, La Beverly Hills Hospital.
All right, Eric, was there anything that you could have done without?
I have read in several places that the ending was a reshoot that they did. The funeral for Ernest and the lady showing up and basically having their moment, and at the end sequence where they shatter on the stairwell. My understanding is that was a reshoot, and the original ending that they thought up was the two of them living together on an isolated mountaintop somewhere, still kind of bickering at each other. And personally, for me, that sounds like a better ending. Right. So I could have done without the funeral scene at the end and gone with the original ending.
Same here. And that is exactly what my could have done without that was. I did not like the ending of this film. Not so much the funeral scene, although it seems superfluous, but them falling down the stairs and breaking into pieces, I found that just kind of like where they went too far, and there is an interview with Goldie Hawn where she tells you what that scene was, and you're close. It basically is them in their old age, bickering back and forth. They are completely bored with life. They want to travel anywhere. Paris, I've been there, and they're bored with each other. And they see Ernest as an old man lovingly kissing his wife's hand. He's at death's door. He's that old. And he has true affection and love for the woman that he's with. And Madeline pities how old they are, saying, "Aren't you glad we're not them?" And Helen lies and says she agrees, but she, in her eyes, you can see that the truth is that he is really lucky to have been able to age and be in love. So I agree with you 100%, Eric. And I'll go ahead and link that video to Goldie Hawn's interview because I thought that was really cool. Test audiences did not like the original ending, so they gave us that one, and I could have done without that ending too.
But I admit I may have a darker sense of humor than the general audience.
True. I mean, but it's not even so much sense of humor. I think it was just poignant and it had a lot of impact. So a lot of times people don't want to overthink the ending of a film. They just want that funny bit or whatever. The thing that bugged me about the funeral was they're talking about how great this man was and how he got to live out his full life and all this stuff. And if you stop and think about it, dude was a murderer.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's the one who got to live his full life and be celebrated. That always kind of stuck me a little weird. It's like, oh, everybody thinks he's such a great guy, but really when push came to shove, he did the shoving. Right. So, I mean, it's a small gripe.
Yeah.
There's a small gripe.
Yeah. Ernest was not a great man. I mean, he jumps from one woman to the next on a whim and then jumps back just on the slightest provocation. And it's just
no willpower, really.
Yeah.
Well, he did have willpower when it came to taking that potion, though.
Yes.
It's the one moment where he finally realized, but it was because he realized he'd be stuck with them forever, right? It wasn't exactly selfless.
No.
So,
and given that option, yes, I probably would have chosen death as well.
So there was another visual gag in this film that I caught, which was the slovenly appearance of this guy whose job it is to make everybody look beautiful and put together. Did that strike you at all? This guy dresses like a complete slob. He's extremely wealthy. He's a plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills, right? But
former plastic surgeon.
Everything he wears looks like thrift store hand-me-downs.
At times, you look like a Spanish artist, even for some reason. I had that impression of him, especially when he was really trying to paint her up to solve that whole spray painting idea. He was really getting like a madman almost.
Well, some of it, I'm sure, is just he lacks love in the sense that he's not experiencing love through his partners. He doesn't experience love for himself, so why do anything to improve himself?
Right. Yeah, he didn't have a whole lot of emotional depth himself.
No.
So there is, everybody there is sort of to blame for that. And that goes back to everyone in this film is sort of abominable.
Yes.
But you still like him because, it's comedy.
Well,
it's dark comedy.
He's the closest thing to a heroic character that we get in the film, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just because he chooses mortality.
It is a good point. Huh. You don't think Isabella Rossellini was the hero?
Her outfit was heroic.
There it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. All right. There's only one thing left for us to do, you guys. Let's get to popping. I've had a good time talking about this film. I think you guys brought up some really fun and interesting facts, and there was some good trivia. We talked about, our favorite things, and we brought up some things that other people might not have caught. So I'm curious, guys, on a scale of 1 to 5 pops, 5 being best, what would you rate this film? And Eric, we'll start with you.
Oh, on a scale of 1 to 5, I'd give this a solid 3.5. I mean, it's better than average, but it doesn't quite hit into that really great level for me. It's
All right.
fun, but it's not great.
All right, sounds good. Tony,
So
Death
when I first
Becomes Her.
saw Yes, when I first saw this, would have given it a two pops. But as I got to know the movie and tried to step back and appreciate that they're all hate, because I hated the characters, that was why I hated the movie. But that's actually a talent. That's if the director is making them that way on purpose, you have to factor that into account. So I bumped my two up to three pops. And the thing is I don't mind if you hate characters because it was an ugly world that I didn't want to be in as I was watching the movie. A world of vanity, of narcissism. It was just painful to watch the first time. But I've seen other movies where there's uglier worlds, like Mad Max is a horrible dystopian world, and I love that movie to death. And I didn't feel the same disturbed feeling for whatever reason. So I can't put it up with movies that I like that where I actually do. And I also don't mind grotesquerie. I don't mind things like that. But for some reason, it, I pushed it up to three because I respect what he was doing, what our director was doing on this one, and I liked the little cookies as we talked about, and that part was fun to watch as well.
Those weren't cookies. That was Isabella Rossellini. No. Ba-dum-dum. All right. Insert drum snare thing. All right. Anyway. Yeah. For this film, it was dark, wickedly funny. I couldn't find a lot wrong with it except the ending. So I'm shocked to find that I'm the one who rates the film the highest here with 4 pops. It was well written, well acted, and a lot of fun. It was dark, but still full of humor. And no, you don't like anybody. There's no true protagonist in this film, even though they try to make Bruce Willis a protagonist. And I have a hard time with films where I can't find a protagonist to identify with. I certainly didn't identify with him, but I still loved the film. So that tells me something about it. It tells me that it hit me on a level, which, obviously it didn't for you guys. You still liked it, but it spoke to me on a level that I really enjoyed. And I feel like maybe it's that I've met people like this in my life. I mean, I worked in Hollywood for a long time, and I lived in LA for a long time. Not that this is characteristic of everybody in LA, but there certainly are these people there. So it was fun. And yeah,
Some
I
of
would
us still live in LA.
Yeah. Oh,
some of
on
us
the character,
escaped.
yeah. One thing I can point out is I rewatched it the final time. I did end up liking one actor the most in this movie, and that was actually Meryl Streep's character for whatever reason. I ended up liking her the most and
Hmm.
found her the most convincing out of all the characters. I thought Bruce Willis was an interesting counterpoint too, because we're used to seeing Bruce being the good guy, the
Capable.
tough guy, and he was a very
It's
beta
pathetic.
male, so to
Yeah.
speak,
Yeah.
which was that's not easy to act, and he did a good job of doing that as well.
It's interesting that she hit you on that level this time around, especially since, now we know she really hated doing this film. She loved the way it
Yes.
came out, but she was miserable making the film. So that says something about Meryl Streep's acting ability that she was able to get through all of that and still have such a good performance. So, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I keep seeing her when she was in the body bag, kind of whimpering. I almost wanted to give her a hug myself in that moment.
Hey,
Yes.
what's that?
Meryl Streep was also in
Yes,
another
defending
movie.
your life.
Yes, we just did that very recently.
Yep. This is yeah, it's interesting. We have a lot of crossover this season with actors being in different films that we are covering throughout the season, which I'm really excited to get into.
Yes.
So, hey, Tony, it's been awesome having you come back. Thanks for coming back and being on the show. Your input is always great. Um, is there anything else you want to throw in here before we give our sign off?
I guess one last thing came to mind. I want to give a shout out to is it Sidney Pollack? He had a little brief cameo appearance in this movie, which I appreciated. I thought he was very
Mhm.
funny as the doctor trying to figure out why she had no heartbeat. And the fact that a couple of minutes later, after he walked out, he was on the emergency bed himself, I thought that
Yes,
was kind
that
of
was great.
hilarious.
For sure.
But I thought about him because that I saw a parallel between that and the movie Eyes Wide Shut, where he's a character with another doctor with a woman in a medical condition. It was someone who was having an overdose, I believe. And it was kind of a parallel scene, but the doctor in that case was actually Tom Cruise's character, but he was participating in a situation that was an odds medical condition with a woman involved, which I thought was just a neat parallel.
It is a good parallel. Awesome, man. Very good eye. So we're at poppodcast.com. That's where you can find us. Eric and I are on there. He's pointing at his hat, but the camera's not on him because he's not talking.
Poppodcast.com.
All right. So yeah, that's where you can find us. Also, we have our YouTube channel. We are on several podcatchers, so you can listen to us as well. And hopefully our audio audience is enjoying what they're hearing. We're getting quite a few listens on that, which shocks the hell out of me because we don't promote it as much. But there's that. And there's our YouTube crowd. And we also have a Patreon. So if you want to support what we do, you can support us there by joining. We will be doing videos for that. Our next one we're going to do is Mandalorian and Grogu, which Eric and I will do as soon as we're done with this here. We're also going to re-record Wake Up Dead Man from the Knives Out series because that got eaten when my hard drive took a nosedive. So there you go. But we do want to do more for the Patreon crowd, and we appreciate you supporting us financially. It's really helped us out a lot. No other ways you can support the show. We have merchandise available on the poppodcast.com site. You can go there, click up in the top right corner, and get yourself a mug or a t-shirt or something like that. All of those proceeds help us out. So thank you very much. Eric?
We have mugs, we have hats, we have shirts. Join the fun.
Excellent. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Eric, before we leave?
It was great having you guys here. I enjoyed talking the movie with you guys, and looking forward to the next film. And in the meantime, have a great evening, everybody. Keep on popping.
Well, make sure to catch our next episode after this, which will be on the 1992 film Sneakers, starring Robert Redford with an all-star cast. And yeah, I guess on that note, we're off. And we're leaving as well.